So says discipline and punishment. Hi, my special ones. So I was on Twitter today and there was a video that went viral about a man who was hitting his child for getting the bad results, and the internet exploded and everybody had their own opinion on if he was right or wrong. Most people are quoting the Bible, spare the rod and spoil the child. And while, yes, it's in the Bible, but depending on what context you take biblical passages out of, there's kind of like a defense for everything you really want to do in the Bible, which is why sometimes I'm skeptical about biblical quotes being used for debate defense. I mean, the Bible says don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't lie, but hey, we know how those ones go. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that because we flout one rule, we should flout them all. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that with the Bible, sometimes I just feel like if you really want to pat yourself on the back for something that you did, if you search hard enough and take quotes out of their context, you will find something to justify your actions. Now, personally, I'm a pacifist, which means I don't believe in any form of violence, including ass whooping, spanking, whatever you want to call it. I don't believe in violence of any kind. I have no memory of my father hitting me, and hey, I think I turned out all right. Punishment and discipline, like every other thing in life, boils down to creativity for it to be really effective. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my father, Barrister Dr. Isokafo, right? When I was really little, the punishment then was to go and sit behind the TV. And TVs then weren't like TVs now that are hung on the wall. Then we had these room dividers where the TV would sit on some kind of, wooden thing. And you go sit behind it and you hear the cartoon playing. I'll hear my brothers laughing, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't participate. Crushed my heart. I'll start crying. My mom would come and be like, "Why are you crying? Did anybody beat you?" I'm like, "No." Next time you would never do it again. When I got a bit older from that, the punishment became being locked in the toilet, and the toilet was very clean. We had running water. Mom would even mop the floor, make sure it shines. Initially, they used to lock us in the room. When we lock us in the room, we'd always say I want to use the bathroom. So they just lock you in the toilet so you could just pee and do whatever you wanted to do there. And my brothers would come and slide like a book under the door, and you would read, cry, get bored. It was like being in like a solitary confinement, and then after a while you just fall asleep, and by the time you woke up the door was open. By the time we got a bit older from that, it became 20 leaves exercise book. My dad would buy it, and if you did something wrong, you had to sit down and write on every line the whole exercise book. "I'm so sorry, Dad, I won't do it again." And if you didn't finish every single line, and my dad would check it, your spellings, if anything was wrong, you go repeat it. If you didn't finish it, you wouldn't have dinner or lunch depending on time of the day. When we got a bit older from that, it became money. So because then we're in boarding school, right? So during the holidays, my father would keep an exercise book with your good and your bad. So when you're going back to school, if your bad was longer than your good, small pocket money. If your good was longer, lots of pocket money. And of course, we all went to go to school and flex. So we'd be on our best behavior during the holidays, and then we'll get lots of money to go to school. Another thing that my parents also did a lot of was positive reinforcement, which means that if you wanted something from them, you had to do something right first. So like if we heard the ice cream truck coming, I would rush and grab my father's shoes and polish them, sweep the kitchen. Then you go and be like, "Oh, Daddy, I polish your shoes, I sweep the kitchen, please can I get money to buy ice cream?" And you'd be like, "Good child, here you go." If you didn't do anything good that day, no house chores, nothing, and you came and asked for that money, they wouldn't give it to you. And positive reinforcement is also used in animal behavioral correction. I mean, we don't go flogging our dogs when they do something wrong. Rather, when the dog does a good behavior, you give the dog a treat. And that way, the dog begins to associate that particular good behavior with getting a treat. And you start seeing more of that good behavior. Also, psychologists always say that if you keep on complaining about something in somebody, you're going to see more of that thing. And now when it comes to child discipline and correction, I feel like parents should discuss it before having kids. Because if one parent is saying, "You're so bad, you're so evil," and another parent is saying, "Stop shouting," it's not effective. What you're just doing in the child's mind is creating a divide of good parents, bad parents. So you guys need to be united. You need to be in unison with whatever punishment methods you choose. So I think it's a conversation that should be had. And I don't think a lot of people have this. People just have kids and assume they'll wing it as they go along. And I think that's where sometimes the disparity comes up when you're not on the same page. Now, finally, the reason why I'm really not buying the whole argument for ass whooping, flogging, spanking is the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? So To see if our punishment methods are effective, we have to look at adults, because children grow up to be adults. And looking around me at Nigerian adults, I don't see any overwhelming evidence that we are more disciplined, that we reason better, that we are more responsible adults. Rather, I think the opposite is the case. Because what excessive flogging does is you start raising very docile children who are afraid to question the status quo, who are afraid to voice their opinion. And docile children grow up to become very unimaginative adults who have no space for innovation in their mind, which is probably why Africa is the way Africa is. Because when you're so docile, where stand there, march, move, you're not allowed to develop your own brain. You grow up becoming the kind of person who says, this is how we've always done it, and this is how we're always going to do it. There's no space for innovation. There's no space for creativity. You know, yes, we say white children are brats, they talk back, but when they grow up to adults and we grow up to adults, there's a huge difference. And I feel like the result of punishment is not looking at the kids who is more obedient, but looking at adults who turns out to be more better functioning, because the brain is a muscle. And just like every other muscle in the body, it needs to be exercised to be better. So when you raise a child to think for themselves, where it's not, don't do that thing, is, do you understand why it shouldn't do it, or why do you think what you did is wrong? That child begins to understand that they should think for themselves and reason for themselves and question things. And a child like that will grow up to become a very creative and innovative adult, as you see sometimes in the West. So for me, I am so not for corporal punishment, as whooping, spanking. I believe you can be very creative and disciplined, and there's always the whole good old-fashioned kneel down there, raise up your hand and close your eyes. I really don't see any overwhelming benefit that we're getting from hitting people, because at the end of the day, let's call a spade a spade. If you're defending using physical beating to discipline the child, what you're defending is your right to hit another human being and there be no consequences for it. Let's call a spade a spade. One of my favorite incidences that happened was this man who was always so aggressive with his son, hitting the son. And when the son got into his late teens, one day the man pulls out his belt and is about to hit the son. The son grabs the belt and flogs the man, so the man runs out of the house. Now, I'm not saying kids should retaliate, but it kind of doesn't feel nice when you're given a taste of your own medicine, does it? You know, so I'm just saying, let's think out of the box a bit, and let's find other ways to discipline our children without stifling their voice, without making them feel like, just sit there, don't question me, you know, like don't imprison their minds so young. I think that's basically what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, to each man his own. Everybody knows what's best for their child. These are simply my opinions. That's why So says, don't forget to practice your empathy. And empathy simply means what you don't want somebody else to do to you, do not do it to another person. Practice your empathy every day, and so much that it begins to come naturally to you to always respond with compassion and understanding first. Thank you so much, my special ones, for always tuning in. That's it. I love you.